After football practice ran late, my buddy Will and I decided to cut through the woods rather than take the long way home. It would shave a good 15 minutes off the trip back. Besides, we'd taken the shortcut countless times growing up in our sleepy rural town. Dusk was falling fast as we slipped between the rear fence of the school fields and trudged down the slope toward the tree line. Wisps of fog drifted between the shadowy trunks. Will flicked on his phone flashlight as the dense forest quickly swallowed the waning light. We scuffed through the underbrush, retracing a path worn into memory. About halfway in, Will paused. "You see that?" He swung the beam toward a shrub off the trail, revealing a torn strip of bright blue fabric. We stepped closer and the pungent, metallic scent wafted up. Blood. The sticky, rust-colored stain was unmistakable. Will's hand trembled as his light revealed more glistening on leaves around us. Something wounded had come through here. Or been dragged. My heartbeat quickened as Will gave voice to our shared thought. "Let's get out of here." We picked up pace, squinting into the thickening mist, no longer certain we were still on the proper track. The woods felt altered, subtly askew, and a palpable dread now pervaded the creeping fog. Then we stumbled into the clearing ringed by looming pines that definitely wasn't on our childhood shortcut. In the center hulked a burned-out brick building trailing vines. Heart-seizing, I realized it had once been the old asylum tucked deep in this forest. Officially abandoned for decades. Will clasped my shoulder, breathless voice betraying his calm facade. "This can't be right. We have to be lost." I fought the swelling panic, forcing myself to think. The faded sign pointing to a side path read Administration Building. If we followed it, we should reach the main entrance and road. Wordlessly, we pivoted toward the rusted sign. 20 minutes later, the path remained swallowed by forest. The asylum's facade never got closer. Only the encroaching trees and fog. With shaking hands, I pulled up GPS on my phone, no signal. I swore under my breath. Will kept trying his with the same useless result. Dread knotted our guts. We were miles from town, on grounds no one had stepped foot on in decades. Except something had recently passed through here, leaving that bloody trail. And we needed to escape. Now. Whipping our heads around at every snapped twig, we stumbled blindly into the nightmarish labyrinth with no sense of direction. Endless identical clusters of deformed oaks and pines. More blood smears shimmering on the leaves. Were those footprints beneath? I clasped Will's sleeve, a childlike instinct compelling me to stay close. Our flashlights cut feeble cones through the soupy dark, revealing nothing familiar. Then Will's light glinted off something ahead. A massive rusted pipe jutting up from a crumbling brick wall, vines ensnaring it. My heart caught in my throat as I made out painted letters beneath the flaking rust. Crematory. No, this can't. Will staggered back, chest heaving. We went in circles. The asylum, it's right here. The weed-choked outline of the decrepit building loomed once again before us in the clearing. No lights shone in its hollow windows now. Only an unnerving watchfulness pervading its empty walls. I grabbed Will, my own voice barely a whisper. The road has to be close. We run. Now. We managed maybe 20 yards before a cacophony of shrieks tore the night open behind us. The blood froze in my veins. Half human, half something far more savage and frenzied. Guttural wails dopplering closer from the darkness we could not outrun. The tree line ahead promised escape, but the sounds multiplied, circling. We were being herded back toward that dreadful brick shell. Chests burning, we pushed for the boundary of woods. South close. The pale misshapen silhouettes hit us from both sides. Their gnarled limbs ensnared us as foul breath and rancid teeth flashed. Not ghosts, gaunt flesh and bone knocking the air from my lungs as I hit the dirt. Feral strength pinned me down as my mind recoiled. Impossible. Will sobbed my name somewhere close. Then a piercing cry cut short. Wild eyes stared back at me from familiar faces in the scant moonlight as they flung me skyward. I almost blacked out from the searing pain. Over the snarls, I heard a heavy metal door scrape open. The dark corridor of the asylum engulfed us, barely illuminated by our dropped flashlights. Fetid, inhuman howls resonated off concrete somewhere ahead. The twisted residents of this forgotten facility were reveling in new quarry. I sagged half-conscious in my captor's talons, glimpsing familiar school insignia on a tattered letterman jacket. No. Not possible. They dragged me into a chamber lit by camping lanterns, the flashlights useless now. Heavy chains lay coiled on the stained floor. And there was Will bound to a rusted gurney, flanked by the crouched, shivering frames of classmates I recognized behind their hollow feral gazes. Will managed a faint cry as he saw me. But no words came. No human language or spark remained in these shells of familiar faces. The asylum hadn't been abandoned, it had continued its deranged experiments in the shadows. And when unsuspecting prey wandered too near, they welcomed new subjects to their charnel rituals. I thrashed against my captor's grip with primal fury. No easy victim here. But a blunt weight collided with my skull, followed by Will's distant screams. Darkness engulfed me. How long had passed when a frigid deluge shocked me awake, every limb throbbing? I lay crumpled on the packed dirt floor as a hunting party towered over me. Moonlight glinting off bared teeth and talons. I didn't dare move. The deformed pack crept closer, sniffing. A large male, my algebra teacher, head tilted at a hideous angle, leaned down, recognition burning in his clouded eyes. With a pleased rasp, he extended one gnarled claw and dug it deep into the flesh of my shoulder. I couldn't choke back the howl of pain. The pack joined his frenzied cry at the scent of fresh blood. I recoiled in horror as their maws yawned open, strings of saliva quivering. So this was to be my gruesome fate. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for their teeth to descend. Waiting an eternity until a thunderous barrage shook the concrete walls. The pack fled screeching as acrid smoke plumed from the corridor. Distant flashlight beams sliced through the haze. Hunting rifles fired again. Voices yelling to one another to fan out and kill any stragglers. The local police, a rescue team. Somehow they'd tracked our phones to this forsaken corner of the woods and arrived just in time. As the first uniforms crashed through the doorway, I sobbed with relief, my torn shoulder bleeding freely. But my celebration stalled as the cop's face revealed bewilderment at the gory scene, the shackled students, gruesome remains. His eyes asked what madness we had stumbled into. I wish I knew. Whatever inhuman perversion lurked here had seeped up from the very earth, the wellspring of this little town, luring unsuspecting souls to their doomed fates. They never found evidence of the reseeded pack that night, just a smattering of human bones in the cramped cells. nor Will's remains, though his tattered clothes lay blood-soaked upon the gurney. The cops sealed off the whole derelict complex, as if that could contain the evil. When I finally slept in the hospital, I dreamt the sounds again. Gnashing teeth and desperate cries rebirthing from the ashes. The creek's bubbling song turned to shrieks swallowed again by the whispering trees. Patient, hungry, waiting for us all. I left town the very next day, fleeing that hungry darkness. But its roots run deep as history. The asylum was merely its cocoon, birthing terror in the shadow of civilization. Now broken, the evil creeps back into the fertile rural soil. It knows I remember. And it will wait through the long nights until I dare return to those woods again. My turn to join the vanished ranks will come. Inevitable as nightfall. I took the shortcut home one foggy evening. But the thing I awakened still slumbers back there, lurking patiently in the twilight consciousness of my hometown, waiting once more to reveal its dreadful countenance.